And it happened yet again. New product launches, everybody has high expectations, and it falls flat. In this video, let's talk about why products fail. And especially I'm going to be concentrating on tech products because I have been working in tech companies for about 20 years now. And let's cut down to the chase. I think that one of the best ways to understand why products fail is to look into the 4 P's of marketing, which are product, promotion, place, and price. And stay all the way to the end of the video because I will cover another area that is a good reason for products to fail. So there are many reasons why products can fail, and when we look at the actual product and why it fails, there are going to be many different reasons why this happens, but most of them can be boiled down to just a few of them. So the first of them is going to be no product market fit. This is probably relatively obvious, but in general, when you don't have product market fit, there are several things that you might have failed. First of all, you might have found the wrong problem. You might have found a problem that maybe is not necessarily big enough, or maybe you are trying to solve the problem with a wrong solution. This in general means that you are not going to have a very good value proposition. You also might have failed to define who are the personas, the target personas or the target audience for your product. I think that one of the best examples that I've seen of finding or defining the wrong target audience was Curve surf skates or skateboards. They were targeting their skateboards for skaters, whereas the target audience or the right target audience eventually was surfers, because what the Curve skateboards was trying to do is trying to emulate the movements of surfing. When they shift their marketing and started to focus on these surfers and as the new user personas, then is how they became quite successful. And of course, you might have found the right problem and also the right target audience, but you might have failed at delivering in the solution. You might have failed in the features, you might have failed in the design, potentially in the value proposition of your product. Those are things that typically can fail when you are building products. Another one where I see many products failing is in product onboarding. How can you help your users learn to use your product? And here you can see it in many ways, but I think that probably the best example are many B2B companies and products that don't pay too much attention on how the design of the product is going to be for the users and how the users are going to take the product into use. That means that many times the users get frustrated and it's very difficult for them to adopt that product, meaning that there's a very high learning curve and sometimes only a few people in the company are able to adopt it, where the rest of the people are rarely going to use it because it's just way too complicated. Let's talk next about price. Price can be sometimes a deal breaker when you value your product very high and the audience don't perceive the value that you are expecting them to perceive. In that moment, your product is probably out of the door, out of the competition, because it's considered to be really expensive and people are not going to purchase. And this happens again and again with many subscription services out there. Things that you are going to have to consider when you are doing pricing is how are you going to sell your product? Are you going to sell your product as a one license, one-time payment, or are you going to sell it as a subscription? Everybody nowadays wants to go into subscription because recurring revenue, and that's awesome, but not everybody wants to be paying and adding, and not every company either, wants to be adding new bills of 5 or 10 euros added to a portfolio of tens, potentially more than tens of products. And when it gets actually very costly to run, especially if you are thinking about consumers, but also it can be very expensive for companies as well. Another thing where you can fail with the pricing is if you don't price it correctly. Are you selling, for example, low volumes? Typically, low volumes are going to have higher prices. And typically when you are selling high volumes, those are going to have lower prices. This doesn't mean that it has to be always the same way, because there's good reasons, and that's why low volume might have low price or cannot justify a high price. And the same goes for the high volume. So finding the correct price for the value that you are bringing, this is what you really have to pay attention, that what you're charging, it actually is the value that people perceive for the service and the product that you're providing. That is the right amount of money that you're asking for. The next one that you're going to have to pay attention to is the place where you're going to be selling your product. There are many different ways where you're going to sell your product. First of all, that you want to have to decide is, are you going to be doing direct sales, so person to person, or are you going to do online sales, meaning that people can go to an app store and purchase your product. This is usually going to define the next step of where and how your product is going to be purchased. What is going to happen with many products out there nowadays is that they are going to be online sales, meaning that you are going to go to an app store or to a website and you are going to be able to purchase it there, purchase the product there. You can imagine that you can go to Apple's or Android's app stores and there purchase the different products that people are selling or companies are selling. Many companies are going to do the same through their own website, where you can just go, download the product, purchase it, and start using it right away. Especially if you think about B2B businesses, there are going to be many cases that they are doing direct sales. This means that there's going to be some kind of human interaction in creating the accounts, creating the licenses, by somebody assigning them to you as a company and for you to start using them. And potentially there might be things like trainings and stuff like that that are going to help you adopting the product. Many businesses are trying to streamline this process, but it's still kind of a little bit rough around the edges in many companies out there. And of course, I haven't mentioned it, but it will depend a lot if your product is a digital product or if your product is a physical product. Depends on the type of product you are going to be selling it in. Probably very different ways. Although, as you can imagine, most of us also purchase physical products nowadays in online stores, such as many online retail e-commerce stores out there. Another reason why your product can fail is because of the promotion that you are doing, or maybe the lack of it. Promotion is very important because although we might have the perfect product for the perfect target personas, solving a really important problem, if people cannot find our product, well, probably our product is gonna fail. It will not fail with the value proposition, but it will fail with the adoption. Something that I feel like is happening to me with this YouTube channel. So if you're enjoying the video, please give it a like and subscribe and share it with others, because that will help YouTube promoting it to other people with similar interests. So when you're doing promotion, you have to think about many things. It's like how you're going to, in a way, advertise, not necessarily with ads, but promote your content to other people. There's many ways that people can do this nowadays. And especially if you think about relatively the more modern companies nowadays, many of them are doing things like affiliate programs, referral programs that helps you to work with, for example, influencers in YouTube to promote your product and get it to a wider audience that you probably would do it in your own. The same goes for referral programs, where you have people that are starting to use the product, they like it, they can refer other people, and either they get a kickback, they get a discount, or they don't have to pay for a certain period of time for the usage of the product. Then you have to think a lot about what is your online marketing presence. What kind of social media are you going to be promoting the content? And it's not just about promotion. Sometimes, many times I think that companies fail to understand how to engage and how to build communities for those communities to engage with the company. Many times the companies try to do but a bombardment of how great our product is, but I think that that's not the correct strategy. And if you had never checked it out, go and look at Slidebean. They're bringing a ton of value to people that could be the potential customers, but without talking about their product constantly on their YouTube channel. So I'll link it below. Go check it out because they are awesome. And now the fifth component, I think that most of the companies fail when delivering products. I think that the most important thing that companies are failing to set up to deliver successfully products is that they don't build the correct teams for building the products. This means that the company is not having a proper culture within the company, is not being able to foment a good culture, good values that actually are going to help people working together. Building that team, building that trusting team that trusts each other, that have ownership on what they're building, is really, really, really important, and something that is very much overlooked and potentially is going to fail on even getting to build the correct product. Because if you don't have the correct team, you already don't have the good foundation to build that product, that business, that company that is going to help your customers solve their problems. One of the key problems for people and users to adopt your product is that you don't have the correct product onboarding. If you want to hear more about product onboarding, go check out this video. If you want to know some books that can help you building your successful products, go check out the links down below in the description. I will see you in the next one, and remember, stay safe.